All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Could one of you guys can confirm that you guys see my slides here, which says today's date on it?
Yes, we see it.
All right,
I
perfect.
see it.
All right, perfect. Yeah, if one of
Thank
you guys
you.
see it, hopefully everyone sees it. All right, guys, let's get started with the interest rates, right? For according to Freddie Mac, last week they were hovering around 7.17. So we keep saying sevens. That's what the market is showing. Mortgage News Daily, this is heartbreaking when we see 7.51. And this is your national averages. So your client might be getting even 7.7, 7.8, even 8% if their credit scores are not that great. So we're gonna go through what your clients are actually gonna be witnessing with their mortgage payments, but just know the interest rates did not come down as of last week. They are going the other way around, is going on the higher direction, right? So Fed meeting is happening this week, which is today. Today's Wednesday, so you guys are expected around 2 o'clock to see an update and see if they will actually cut the rates or not. In beginning of this year, we kept saying that there will be three rate cuts, and we were expecting that. But we're already in May. Today's May 1st, right? So 4 months already have been passed, and we saw no rate cuts. So in today's meeting, most people are saying that it's going to have near zero chance that the Fed will cut any rates today. They will not make any changes. That's what we're expecting. They're going to say, hey, let's run everything the way it's running for another 6 weeks, right? If that's the case, that's going to have a negative effect on our housing market because the interest rates might go even a little bit higher. Okay. So I encourage every one of you guys to watch this. This is going to be on YouTube and all the other platforms you can think of, and just watch that an hour long video. With the chairman and just going through what they're thinking about the market. Okay, but don't expect them to do any rate cuts today. If they do, there'll be a really positive news. We want to be wrong in that note. Okay. So even though the interest rates are high, according to these articles, the home prices do not care about the rate that the high rates right now. Why is that? There's some people who are simply ready to buy. So you want to focus on that. You cannot try to convince anybody in this market, which I'm going to show you in a little bit too, right? Because some people, even when I go live on TikTok and everything, there's some comments where people say, "Hey, I'd rather rent," and I've been very upfront with them. Hey, it's perfectly fine if you're comfortable renting. Nobody should be forcing you because buying a house is a huge responsibility, right? But people who are ready to buy, they will go ahead and buy even if the interest rates are high, knowing the fact that they can refinance down the line. Okay, more news articles here, saying similar things to that the home prices soar even in higher rates in February, right? Those were the stats that we got. This article shows that people are tired of waiting, right? People saying, hey, I want to move out. I have to move out, right? Whatever the case scenario might be. And they've been waiting for some time now, right? And they're going to go ahead and purchase that property. I was having a conversation with one of our new agents, and I just don't want, and they were being discouraged. It was like, hey, we showed a property to a person. We try to do a lot of things to make a deal go through because we knew the listing agent and got the terms and everything. The offer got accepted, and then the buyer said, hey, you know what? I'm so sorry, but I need to back out. Right? I just can't afford, or I'm not comfortable with this mortgage payment right now, right? We don't want to be discouraged on those. We just want to move on to the next person, okay? Because there are people who are buying and selling in this market, okay? As home sellers, buyers wait on the Fed cuts, right? There is a portion, majority of the portion people, they are simply waiting for the rate cuts. We cannot do much about them, right? All these articles say the similar things that we're talking about, okay? But this chart shows you guys, we don't want to show, you guys can show this to your clients, but this is for you guys to just to give you an idea that interest rates 7 seems high, but we have seen higher in the past, right? But for, since 2020, I feel like we have been spoiled when we saw interest rates recently, a couple of years ago around threes and fours. But just we have to let our clients know we had a pandemic. right? We had where people were not buying or selling. At that time, everybody was sitting home for 6 months or so, right? There was no activity going on. So the government wanted to encourage everyone, so they dropped the interest rates. Now they're doing quite the opposite, right? Will it come down? Of course, it should come down. When will it come down? We do not know. Okay. So this is your chart. You guys can see, obviously, some people would want to reference the 1980s. We don't want to do that where it was 18%, but just going back even 2000s, right? We can see that we saw higher interest rates, right? With that, when you ask 100, clients, hey, you're ready to buy a house, most people will say no. That's the reason you're seeing a confidence drop since 2022 to the lowest level, because some people are simply waiting, right? How do you? I'm giving you both pictures. I'm giving you the negatives and the positives, so you guys can be you guys can judge. Hey, how do I want to look at this market? Do I want to look at the people who are not ready, or do I want to look at the people who are going under contracts? So when you see pending sales in March has increased by 3.4%, right, from February, you want to see that, hey, there's still activity going on, right? So you guys can see that in January we had the lowest, and then February it increased a little bit, and then in March is went going back up now. So you want to be part of those deals. So please, guys, don't assume that there are not transactions being happening. There are. You just have to be part of those. So if someone asks you, hey, what are the advantages, right, for a home ownership, right? I'm renting right now. Why should I buy? Majority of the people do know, but if it's a first-time home buyer, sometimes you have to break it down for them. One is your bill predictability, right? The rent can vary. Your rent can go up. Maybe the landlord changes, or the person sells that house and your lease is up, and now they want to increase the rent. They can do that. The only areas they cannot, if is rent stabilized, right, controlled by the city, then they can increase. But majority of the homeowners simply can say, hey, I was charging $2,300, now I'm going to charge $2,500. But if you are going with a mortgage, if your mortgage is $3,500, that is not going to change unless your property taxes or your insurance changes. But your principal and interest will never change for a fixed rate, right? There's no surprises there. And if you're paying the rent, you're simply paying the rent, right? You're not benefiting from there except for just living there. The day you move out, you take nothing with you. But if you have a mortgage, you're paying that mortgage payments, you're building equity. Every realtor should be using the word equity, because that is the net profit that your homeowner has in a property. So you want to use the word equity when you're talking to your first-time home buyers. Hey, your ultimate goal is to build equity, right? Building equity is basically like a saving plan for you. How hard is it for us to save for down payment, closing cost, or just for any other reasons? Can be tough, but indirectly you're doing it with home ownership. You buy a house today, you live there for 5 to 10 years. All of a sudden, you have $100,000 to $200,000 in equity saved up. That does not happen when you're renting, right? You want to make changes to the house, you want to do this or do that, modify it, right? You want to decor. If the landlord is really strict, they're not gonna allow you to do that, right? You want to set up something in your backyard, you're not going to be able to do that when you're renting. But if you own a house, you can, right? So there are a lot of benefits. The one that I want you to really focus on when you're talking to your client is equity. Hey, let's build some equity, so when you want to sell that house, at the closing table, you're taking money for yourself for retirement or for any next venture that you will have, right? Next, guys, going back to our affordability here. If someone is making $125,000 as household income right now, right? This could be one person, it could be two people, husband and wife, collectively making $125,000 with down payment of $60,000, right? Their monthly debt is around 250. The interest rates we're using today's average is 7.5. But this family is looking for a property where the property taxes are 10,000. So pretty much they're looking around Long Island side, right? So with that being said, this person can qualify at for $617,000. So that might be reasonable. Hey, I can find you a house for $600,000, but their mortgage payment now, This is where we are having issues with. People are okay with $600,000, but they're not okay with $4,800 monthly payment. This is with their DTI of 49%. So they don't want to devote majority of their paycheck to the mortgage payment. They have other expenses. So this client might say, hey, no, I need my mortgage payment to be lower. So the loan officer might say, hey, you want to be below $4,000 in mortgage payment? Fine. But you have to find a property that's going to be around $483,000. Do you guys think that we can find a property for $483,000 in Queens or in Long Island? It's going to be really hard, right? Maybe condos and co-ops for sure, but a single family is going to be really hard. So this is the dilemma your clients are going with. They're okay with this 617. They're not okay with this $4,800 monthly payment. Okay. So you just gotta know what your client really wants and if they're really ready today or not. Okay. So out of this whole 12 months from January until December, realtors, we have a different season where there's some months where you should be doing a lot of advertisement and there should be few months where you are not, right? So think of like tax returns, right? So tax returns happen around April, right? Around April every year. So you don't see ads for any companies like H&R Block or Tax Turbo or anything like that middle of the year, right? Why don't we see those? Because those companies are holding down to their funds, and they said there's no point of advertising right now because their tax return is going to be happening in April. So when do they start advertising? Around January, February, March. Those are the months, right, that they're advertising. So just think of that concept. When do you want to focus on your advertisement, getting your name out? The time is now. So we're going to go through this, navigating the housing market, a seasonal perspective. So you're going to see that the timing, the peak buying time is now. It's from April till June. Out of 12 months, these are the 3 main months that you want to focus on. So if that's the stats are showing that, you want to get your postcards out, you want to have your online advertisement now, try to have your Zillow promotional going there. One of our agents is doing realtor.com, already under contract for 2 leads that he received. So everybody's all over the place. Pick yours, right? Pick which area you want to focus on and advertise now. From April, May, and June, this is where you should be advertising heavy, right? After that, from July till September, it's still high activity, continues, but it begins to slow because nobody's trying to go under contract around September time. Why is that? Especially with people with kids, right? They just want their kids to go to school in September. They don't want to find or go under contract at that time. So you're going to see less buyers pool around September. Okay? From October to November, the market slows. So whoever the buyers are still interested, from October to November, there's less of it. Guess what? They have a little bit more power, right? So they will put in the offer maybe a little bit less compared to what they would have done in April or May or June. Okay. And the slowest that we have, the lowest activity that happens is from December, January, and February. And why is that? Right, majority of the people would want to spend those months, right, usually Christmas time or the holiday season, in that property, even if they want to sell it, right? If they want to sell the property, they say, hey, we're going to sell it around April time or, maybe springtime or summertime when we don't have to worry about our kids. But around December, January, February, I would just want to have a final, year at our house here celebrating Christmas or any other, holidays. So you have to know what is the reason behind these months, right? So as a realtor, if I have some money to spend, this is where I'm going to be spending on from April till June. And then even if you stop advertising in June, whatever leads that you have, you still want to work with them from July till September. This is the main time to focus on being a realtor. Okay. All right, guys. Any questions, concerns so far? You guys can put in the chat. I believe someone did here. All right. All right, guys. Next is that City Febs, right? We're going to spend next 5 minutes just on City Febs. It's a program where realtors can get paid up to 15% of the annual rent, right? So if the rent is $2,500, you guys can get paid $4,500 for that job that you're doing, right? So what is City Fabs? Is a rental assistance program to help individuals and families to find and keep housing, right? The government does not want people to be homeless, and they don't want the homeless rate to go higher, right? We have about 8 to 10 million people living in New York City, so they want everybody to have a property to live in, right? Or at least a shelter to live in. So they're encouraging, so they know the fact that, a lot of landlords will say, hey, I don't want to accept any programs. So they want you to educate those landlords and, get paid if you do so. Okay. So one is an assistant program. So who's going to be eligible for that is people with low income, right? Usually it's the income is at or below 200% federal poverty level, right? So if they're in low income, that is one of the criteria that they must meet. And then you have other things accordingly here. If someone served in the army, armed forces, and risk of homelessness, right? Main problem here is that they don't want homeless people, people becoming homeless in New York City here. So these guidelines here, we will share that with you guys in the slides. So how could you apply for that? If they do meet the guidelines, the first step is for them to contact a nonprofit service provider, which is called a home base, right? There are more than 20 offices. You guys can find the link that we provided so you can guide your client. Your first step is to find out if you actually qualify. If you do qualify, contact this home base and see if you can actually will be, eligible for it, right? You might think that you're eligible, but we have to find out if you get approved for it or not. They will review your information, and they will tell you that, hey, here's a shopping letter. They will give you a letter. Go ahead, and now you can go ahead and find a property. You as a realtor, if someone asks you, hey, do you guys accept City Fab's program? Yes, absolutely we do. Let me find out which landlord will actually take you, so let me try to find your property. But before that, I would need to see the paperwork that you received from the city. So they might give you a shopping letter, provide that. So put it in your documents, okay? And how long can I keep getting City Fabs? Usually it has a 4 annual renewals, right? And sometimes you can get even an extension up to 5 years. So know that, to your landlord, hey, this is not just a 1 year thing. This client will get paid from the city or get assisted from the city for next few years, okay? And City Fabs actually pays the landlord usually a little bit above market price. They want to encourage the landlords. That's the reason they're paying you 15%. They want to encourage you so you guys can support each other, right? So if the family size is just one, if it's just one person and they're looking for 1 bedroom and all utilities included, city will pay $26.96. So $2,700 for just 1 bedroom. And if it's 2 bedrooms with 3 or 4 people, then you can see that with all utilities up to $3,000, right? If the family gets bigger and the bedrooms get bigger, and you can see the numbers here. But just know that they're paying a little bit above market price, right? The way you would calculate this, whatever the amount is, if it's $3,000, times that by 12, so you get the annual. They're paying $3,000 for 1 month. You times that by 12, whatever number you get there, minus 15%. This is how you calculate how much you will get paid. Okay, I have seen checks from our realtors getting paid $6,000, $5,000, $4,000, $6,500, right? Just like closing a regular deal. So I really want you guys to put this on your in your task. Like, hey, I want to learn more, because you can't learn everything about in 5 minutes with us, right? We're giving you a snapshot of what City Fabs is about. Get into details. Do your research. Have a one-on-one meeting with me if you want to go in more details. But get to know the program, because they pay you really well. Okay, you should know the following: a landlord or a broker or a real estate agent cannot or may not refuse to accept City Fabs, right? Refusal will be basically saying that you're discriminating against income, right? And that's against the law. And you cannot do any side deals. You can't say, hey, I'm going to find you this property, I need $500 on the side. That is not legal. Okay. You cannot ask when the landlord or the broker asks for additional upfront cost or fees, anything like that, that is completely illegal. Okay. So obviously, if they find someone violating this, you can lose your license. So you don't want to you just want to make sure that you stay. Anybody calls you, there are some testers out there. They might not be. Always assume that you want to follow the rules. That hey, someone is going to be recording my phone calls. I want to make sure that I give them the right information all the time, right? They're recording it, not recording it. You always want to give them the right information. Do you guys accept city fabs? I have a city fab voucher. Do you guys accept that? The answer is yes. Maybe the landlord may or may not accept it, right? I have to talk to them, but legally they have to do it. Okay. So why should you help out those clients? One is that client needs help. Second, you get paid 15% of the annual rent. Okay. Again, guys, next you should be focusing on becoming a listing agent. You really want to talk to the sellers. You really want to find sellers and be on the listing side, right? And this list has 50, but we're not going to go through 50. But there's different ways of finding leads. One is finding Section 8 landlords, right? You want to find those landlords and they say, hey, maybe they don't want to continue with Section 8 or take that responsibility and they want to sell the property, right? You want to promote yourself on radio. People are not spending any money on TV or radio. The way we're getting onto TVs is through YouTube, right? We have seen it where even our agents have sent us screenshots or even some videos. Hey, a family member is watching our ad, or even our clients will come in. The reason being is that we're promoting ourselves, all our companies on YouTube, right? And they're really hyper local. We really pick different zip codes that's around us. So you guys can do that same thing. Okay. You want to have a relationship with title companies. Some people have no idea about title companies, but if you want to search for title companies, it's always a good idea, right? Social media, some of you guys are already going heavy than a lot of other people, which is great, right? Promoting yourself on regular basis. That's what you want. You want to get your name out there. Okay. You want to see your expired multiple listings, your MLS, right? There's some agents that came to our office and it was like, hey, show me how I'm going to find all the listings that's expired, right? You can definitely find those out, but usually it does not give you the seller's phone numbers or the owner's phone numbers. So there's another way of finding it through VEDX. Okay, so I'm going to show you that in a little bit as well. Door knocking. Not a lot of agents do that, but this is the time to do it, right? The weather is good now, so maybe you don't want to spend the whole day door knocking. Maybe pick, hey, 30 minutes to 45 minutes or an hour and just pick one area. Hey, I'm going to just door knock, give out my business cards, and it could be hyper local. You don't have to, drive too far out the way, just whatever area that you want to serve, right? Some of you guys are doing door hangers, right? Some of you guys are ordering it from online directly on Vistaprint, receive some door hangers, and you guys just posting it there. End of the day, we just want leads, and there are different ways of doing so. Okay. Foreclosures. We always mention that every week we're providing you a list of foreclosures. Go ahead and see if you can take your clients to those foreclosures. This one says funeral homes. I personally have never done it, but you guys can go try funeral homes and see if you guys can find out anybody, if they will give you any information. I highly doubt it, but it's on the list here. But the main one is for sale by owners. Our agents have converted for sale by owners into a listing. So I'm pretty sure you guys we all can do it. If one person can do it, I think we all can do it, right? So for sale by owners, if you see a sign, take some action on it, right? You want to give out your flyers anyway, it could be offline, online, anything that you're doing to promote yourself is a good thing. For insurance brokers, like with our LJ Insurance, we have homeowners, so homeowners policies and everything like that. So you want to keep an eye for or have connections with some insurance brokers out there. Okay. So there's more list here, but direct mail, I'm gonna actually take it to this list here. that remember that real estate leads can come from just anywhere. So the list that we have is about 50 of them. You guys can review that later on, but just know that our agents are surprised to, that hey, I sent out one batch of direct mail and I got one lead that actually wants to sell their house. On the other hand, hey, I already sent it 5 times and I got 0 leads, right? Guess what? Everybody is going to be different, right? Every different areas, different postcards, right? And sometimes that luck is not there. Sometimes you're not getting those leads, and sometimes it's way too easy. You have to play the game, guys. You have to actually promote yourself in different ways. And this is what our agents are doing right now. So past clients, that's people are in your KV core, right? Your sphere, people that you know, they're adding those clients and converting them, right? These are what the closings are happening. We have seen where on social media a client reached out and actually closed the deal, right? Some of them are just going with the for sale by owner signs. Some of them are going to open houses, right? Hosting open house as much as possible if you're the listing agent, right? Direct mail we mentioned and expired listing. These are the things that actually work, right? So you guys can focus on those. So there's the reason we want to focus on for sale by owner because that's where the conversion is, right? Because some for sale by owners just feel like, hey, I can just put the property on the market or just put up a sign and I can sell. But these are the methods that they're actually using. 20% of them are saying you just telling their family, their friends, their relatives, their neighbors, right? Some of them don't even want their neighbor to know this. Some of them are just 19% of them are just putting side their yard signs, right? They have no negotiation skills. They have no tools that you have, RPR, your geodata. There's no way for them to do the full, research like you can as a real estate agent, right? 7% out of 100, only 7 of them will host an open house. They have no idea how to do that, right? But you as a realtor are expert doing so. So those for sale by owners, it should be an easy sell. So when you're actually getting those for sale by owner properties, the first step is viewing the property itself. Go see the property and then judge that property and tell your client or tell the seller, hey, either I do have a buyer for this or I don't. Okay? Majority of the time you should. And the most difficult task that these for sale by owners have is preparing and fixing up the property, right? That's 4%. Getting the right price is 15%. They're trying to save money, right? They're saying that, hey, Janet, I don't need you, or Carvin, I don't need you. I can do this job by myself. But they're not even getting paid the right amount, right? So you guys can see on this last slide here that most homes for sale by owners are sold around $310,000 compared to when they have an agent of $405,000. So $95,000 difference on average, right? So guess what? If they're trying to save 1 or 2%, they're gonna lose a lot more because they don't have that negotiation skills, right? They don't know that, hey, this is the right price or not. They say, hey, I'm just tired. I put it on the market for quite some time. I'm not getting any results. Maybe it's just the property, not knowing the fact that they don't know how to actually sell this property, right? Only 7% understand and perform the paperwork. Out of 100, right? Only 7% knows and understands paperwork. How about you, right? You guys have the whole seller's breakdown. Like, hey, there's gonna be no surprises. Let's sell this property for $500,000. Here's your loan balance. This is what you owe. This is what, let's understand all the costs. And now let's understand the contract, right? How are we gonna protect ourselves? We're doing a deal right now with 2 agents from our company where they're, going back and forth with the appraisal, right? We have to make sure that everybody understands the appraisal contingency, the bank commitment contingency, right? The home inspection contingencies. Those are the things that you're educating those sellers about, right? So you guys have a lot of tools, a lot of experience as collectively as a company as well now. So really get out there and speak to these for sale by owners and be confident that you guys can sell it for a higher price. Okay. Next is that you have more tools. When you have a listing, you can use List Hub. So this is one of your benefits from your MLS membership. So it's a website called List Hub where it will promote your property to more channels. So a lot of us understand that we can do it on MLS, and MLS will throw it on Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com, but this company ListHub will do it to even more publishers, right? It will send it to homes.com, it will send it to homefinder.com, Realty Trace, Landwatch, a lot of other companies that you normally don't see. So I really want you to check out listhub.com. Okay. So another agent said, "Hey, I have a property. We changed the price, and I want to boost it. I want to promote it. What's the easiest way of doing it?" One of the easiest way of doing it is through KV Core. So in KV Core, there's if you go on the left panel, lead engine, and then click on property boost, and there you can see that it will advertise your post on different channels that you want. Right, it might be on Facebook, on Instagram, and they will promote it on different channels for you. You don't have to worry about that, how they're gonna do it. You just set a budget, and they will promote that. Right, so they will advertise for you, they will capture the leads for you, and then you would have to nurture those leads. Okay, so KV Core Property Boost, that's what you want. Okay, so you can start at maybe $45 for a 3-day ad, right? You don't have to do this. You can have different plans, but this is one of the most popular plans that they have. So I have seen it with our agents who are the listing agent, have promoted and have gotten leads. Okay. So don't think that every time that there's going to be a conversion on it, but just know the fact that if you want to promote it, these are a couple of different ways of doing it. And if there's a seller out there, seller is keeping an eye on you, right? If you're the listing agent and you're saying, "Hey, I'm only hosting an open house once a month," right? We have a problem. The seller will have a problem. If you don't have any offers in the first 30 days or so, we might have a problem. High or low, we need to see some offers. I really want all of our agents to focus on becoming a listing agent because of your experience now. Okay. All right, guys. Any questions, concerns so far? All right, guys. So next, guys, I want to talk about a loan program that you can help out realtors. You can help out anyone that maybe it could be a realtor, it could be a Uber driver, any taxi drivers, anybody that's an independent contractor, right? A general contractor, anybody that's receiving 1099s, right? Either majority of the time you get paid through W-2s or you get paid through your 1099s. The problem with 1099 is that every time we have a 1099, we try to put in the maximum expenses and try to bring down that net income so we pay less on taxes. Very legally, they will try to do that. But when the time comes to actually buy a house and the loan officer says, "Hey, you made $100,000 in 1099, gross income, but you only made $25,000 in your net income, I only can use that net income," right? But now with this program, we can use up to 90% of their gross income. Okay, so if they're making $100,000 in 1099, okay, if they're making $100,000 in 1099, we can literally use 90% of that, which is going to be $90,000, right? So for this non-QM 1099 program, what do we need? So number one is your credit scores. So the credit scores needs to be solid, above 700. If it's 720 or more, that's beautiful. That means that person can qualify. But if your client is in 500, 600s, we're gonna have an issue, right? So we need to make sure that they have solid credit scores. For down payment, you can put down 15%. So this program does allow or wants you to put down more than usual. Usually with the conventional, we can go as low as 5% or 10%, but with this one, we need at least 15%. Okay. Their debt to income ratio can go up to 55%. Okay. The closing cost is going to be between 5 and 7%. Because this is a non-QM, when we said non-QM, yeah, Josh? Okay, I'll update that. Sure. So where it says 3 months reserves, some lenders are asking for 6 months. So I'm going to switch that from 3 to 6 months, okay, for reserves. But we do need debt to income ratio of 55%. The closing cost is between 5 and 7%. So because when it's a non-QM loan, right? When it's a non-QM loan, this means it's non-qualified mortgage. The closing cost is going to be a little bit higher. The interest rate is going to be a little bit higher. If today we're looking at 7.5 as your regular interest rates on average, maybe you want to increase maybe another point. So maybe 8.5, 8.6, 8.7. That's the rate that this client might get. Okay. Otherwise, this client is not qualified. Okay. This client might have to wait another year to file their taxes and, then qualify. But if you just want your client to, review the 1099 with us and see if their credit scores is solid and they have enough down payment, maybe they can purchase the house today instead of waiting a year or two. Okay. They don't have to worry about filing more taxes or anything like that down the line. But some key points with them is that for this 1099, we need to see 1099s for 2 years and 1 year history with the same employer. So if they're driving Uber for 5 years, we have no problem. Okay. So whatever job they're doing, they just got to be making sure that they're doing it for at least 2 years and 1 year with the same employer. Okay. As just mentioned, we need to have the reserves have increased. So what is reserves? So if your mortgage payment is $5,000, multiply that by 3 or 6. So that amount needs to be sitting in your bank account. Okay. Why they're doing this? They just don't want you to go through a hardship and then you go through foreclosure. That you need to have some reserves for your safety net. Okay. Gift funds are allowed. So if you need some down payment assistance, you need some help with your down payment, you can. They will allow you to get it from your family. So 1099 looks something like this. Every one of you guys have received 1099 from us as a company. But if you looking at a 1099, just look at which employer it is. So this one, Uber is the employer. You would see your pays information. This is where your borrower's information or your client's information is. And what you're looking at is line 1A, gross income or your gross amount. So this person is making $138,000 a year on Uber. But when we actually look at their Schedule C, their tax returns, this 138 is the top dollars. But then they put so many expenses and they brought that down to around $45,000, as you can see here. Okay, so their annual income was 138. Their net income, gross was 138, net was 45. And now, because our lender will allow us to use 90% of the gross, which is 138,000, which is now $124,000. Now this person can qualify on their own. They don't have to look for a cosigner. If they were going with this net income, $45,000, then they don't qualify for a house that they would want. So what about self-employed that does not get 1099 for someone? Yeah. So that would be a different, we would have other programs for that, right? If you're not getting 1099s, then it will be a different program. This is if you're strictly getting 1099s from a company and you want to go through this, right? So at $45,000, you do not qualify for much. $125,000 income, you do qualify for a nice house, right? So who's it used for, right? This is for self-employed individuals. It could be a freelancer or independent contractor. It could be realtors like yourself. It could be Uber drivers. It could be side hustlers, a photographer, a website designer, a virtual assistant, landscaper, or house cleaners. Anybody that's receiving 1099s. So maybe when you're having a conversation and they say, hey, I do have a 1099, or I work as a 1099, or I work as I'm self-employed, right? Or I drive taxi. Any of those things mean the same thing. They're on 1099, right? Just let them know that we have a program which allows you to use 90% of your gross income, which majority of the lenders do not do, right? This is a non-QM, and let a loan officer take it from there. Okay, so just know that it's a really solid program. We have been doing it. We're just promoting it more and more now, and more people understand it. Okay, so these are the guidelines. Any questions? Damien, you had another question or you're good? I know you were interested. We were talking yesterday, so it seemed like you were interested in this program. Okay. All right, guys. So we said we need solid credit scores, right? How about if your client, this one says 720. So even if your client has 690, we can still make this file work, but just know that the interest rate is going to be maybe 10 basis points higher, 20 basis points higher. When we say basis point is 0.10, 0.20, right? So it might be a little bit higher if the credit scores are lower. So how about if your client tells you, hey, I have credit scores in 500s. You want to guide them to mycreditguy.com. Sure. Thanks, Damien. Mycreditguy.com, right? So it's a company that will allow your client to work with them and actually improve their credit scores, right? There's a lot of benefits of that. We all know that. But if it's a single person try to improve their credit scores, the first 30 days, they will charge $325. And after that, they will charge flat $100 per month. And if it's couple, if it's husband and wife trying to improve their credit scores, then it will be $525 for first 30 days and then $150 per month thereafter. Okay, so it's a really good program. It does let them increase their credit scores. So this is a real example that from one of our clients here. They started out around 580. So this client qualified for FHA loan, right? Within about 2 months time frame, they increased from 500 to above 650, right? So you can see that it was at 586, 587, 586, and then it went to 654, 662, and 653. And we're going to use the middle number, which is going to be your 653 here. So now they're well qualified for their conventional loan. Okay, can this person get a non-QM 1099 program with 653? We highly doubt it. We can try it, but we want to see closer to 700, right? So this company, mycreditguide.com, what they would do is basically create a sheet for them, for your client, breaking down all the expenses, right? All the debt that they have. They will have a company name, they'll have a balance amount, the credit limit, and the utilization percentage. So you want to utilize your credit cards as low as possible, right? So this number should be as low as possible. The lowest that we see here is on this right here, 5.9%. So they have a balance of $59, but they have a credit limit of $1,000, right? That's what we want to see. Or where you see here a 0%, meaning they have a credit limit of 200, but they're not using any of it. So you guys, maybe on your personal note, you guys want to create a sheet for yourself, right? Or guide your clients to do those. Like, hey, write down how many credit cards that you have, what is the open balance amount, and what is your credit limit, right? So whatever your credit balances are, see what is the percentage you're actually using and try to reduce that much as possible, and that will help them increase. So mycreditguide.com will have different goal ranges that they have at 10%, 30%, 50%, and give them different scenarios here. So it's a really solid company that allows your clients to improve their credit scores and qualify for better terms. Okay. We mentioned RedX, guys, right? RedX is a good website where you can get leads for expired listings. So we mentioned on MLS, you can see which property actually expired, but we don't see the owner's information. With this one, with this list, you do see the owner's phone number. Okay. If you want geo leads, meaning you want to target one zip code or one area, and they will give you all the homeowners' names and addresses and phone numbers using that list. We mentioned for sale by owner. If you want to get a list or see all the property that's listed online as for sale by owner, they'll give you a list for that too. So all of these different services have different price tiers. So they usually start around $50 to $60 or $70. You guys can see here, right? You don't have to sign up for all of them. Just test out one of them and see how that goes for you guys. Okay. I was going through this with one of our agents, so I just felt like maybe it's helpful for others. So these are the terms to learn. When we're talking about the lender is your mortgagee, right? Mortgagee with two E's in the end. So that's a mortgagee, that's the lender, that's the bank. How about the borrower? The borrower is known as mortgagor with OR in the end, right? Mortgagor is going to be your borrower, mortgagee is going to be your lender. And if it's a mortgage note, right? What is a mortgage note? Is a written agreement to repay your mortgage. So these terms, every one of us should know this. And if it's a mortgage loan originator, that simply means it's a loan officer. Okay. Few properties on the market that's available from our agents. One of them is by Paul here. This property is listed in South Ozone Park by 130th Street here. House for sale, 40 by 100 lot size. I'm pretty sure this property is going to go under contract soon. So if you have a buyer, please reach out to Paul and see if you can show this property. Next one is by Ansari Ali. This is listed on also in South Ozone Park for 649. It says coming soon. It's already on the market. So you guys, I just encourage you guys to show the property. Even if you are brand new, you have no clients, it's listed by our agent. Go see the property yourself. Maybe you will find all of a sudden, hey, I have a client or not. Okay. This one had this is listed in New Hyde Park, listed at 950, and now we're dropping the price to 899. I believe he already dropped it this morning. I didn't get a chance to update the screenshot, but I think it's already dropped. But the learning lesson from here is to when we're talking to our when we're talking to the owners as listing agents, we have to keep it real. Right? Keep it real. Hey, I have done my research. I feel like this property is worth between $800 to $850,000, and let's not price it at 950 where I don't get any phone calls. Right? What is the point of putting in the market so high and we're not, showing it to anyone? I love the strategy of putting in the lower end, have more eyeballs, and let's have a bidding war. Right? You're the seller, Mr. Seller. I can offer you, I can present 20 different offers. It's all up to you which one you want to accept or maybe reject all of them, right? But let's go with the strategy of putting the properties on the market on the lower end and then see what kind of activity that we get. It's really heartbreaking when you have to put down, you guys listed at 950, or this example is listed at 950, and now we have to reduce it $50,000, right? Knowing the fact that the property should be listed at maybe 850, 870, 890. Okay. This property is also in Franklin Square. It's listed by AP Ersteep. He's hosting open houses, has offers already. Again, if you have a client that's looking for a luxury property in Franklin Square, you want to reach out to AP here. Okay. Guys, your commission structure is changing for everyone in coming months. Every meeting we're mentioning this because it's super important. I really want every one of you guys to have a presentation. I was checking online. Some people are promoting that they have not just a flyer or two, they actually have maybe like 50-page presentation that's, binded and everything. It looks really professional. And maybe you want to have that. Some of you guys are just doing it. I saw a few of you guys just online on a PDF. That's fine too. But every one of us needs to have a presentation. Every one of us. Without a presentation, like it's really going to be hard for you to sell yourself, right? When you have it on paper, hey, this is what I have to sell, it makes a huge difference, right? Also, I'm talking to a lot of agents where I say, hey, what do you think the agreement price should be? The time frame should be. Some of you guys are still going towards with 180 days, right? 6 months or more. It's not going to be a norm, right? It's going to be less than 6 months. So try to compete with other agents. Say, hey, let me find you a house within 90 days. Let me find you a house in 120 days instead of saying 180 or 365. That's too much. Try to keep it as short as possible so your buyers can sign your agreements. Okay. Where do you find this agreement? It's going to be on your transaction desk. As soon as you have a template or you select the template for buyers, you will see this as your number one form there. Exclusive right to represent agreement. It's very straightforward. There's nothing to cross out. It's only you just have to fill it out. If it's your first time doing it, please fill it out and just send me a copy. So I just going to make sure that it's in compliance and everything is good. But if you've been doing it on a regular basis, no need to ask me. Okay. And please do not put any dollar amount because you don't know what the final price is going to be unless you're sure that you're going to charge a flat fee, right? Most of them would want to charge, most of the agent would want to charge a percentage. So put in the percentage of the purchase price where the X is. Okay. And once it's signed, you're good to go. Just let your client know that, hey, if you're visiting your open house, it's perfectly fine. Just let me know. We have an agreement. I just don't want you to work with 3 or 4 other agents. You can only work with me because you signed this agreement. They need to understand that. Don't assume that they would know that. They do not. Okay, maybe they're thinking that I'm signing a agency disclosure and I might be signing it 3 times with 3 different agents without any problem, right? Make sure that you tell them, hey, you're working with me for this next 90 days and I'm going to find you a property. I'm going to work on your side. I'm going to make sure that we are viewing property on a weekly basis. Anything new comes on the market, I'll be sending you right away, and I want to make sure that we can schedule a showing in timely manner. Okay, guys, some of you guys are promoting yourself online, which is great. We want to encourage you guys, but at the same time, we don't want to get any violations, right? So anytime you're promoting yourself as a for sale property or new listings you have, or just in general saying, hey, Sheldon, I'm Sheldon, buy a house with me, or I'm Julian, buy a house with me, then you got to make sure that this could be in small font. Make sure our company name, our company address, and the phone number is listed on that ad, is required by law. And the equal housing opportunity sign must be there. This realtor one is optional. But guess what? You already are, you're paying for your MLS, and you guys are licensed realtors. You guys can legally use this because you're part of MLS. So use both of the logos. Okay? But just know that the equal housing opportunity is required by law. And putting in just your phone number and your name is not enough. You have to put in LJ Realty team and our address and the office phone number. And it does not have to be big. It could be in small font, but every ad needs to show this. We are super strict when it comes to mortgages, right? We don't allow any advertisement for our loan officers, but for our real estate agents, you can do advertisement. It's not a problem, but just make sure you guys stay in compliance. Okay. So guys, in the morning when you actually want to work on real estate, say, hey, I'm waking up today. I want to see what's going on with my real estate. So I want you to have 5 tabs open, right, at all times when you're working. Maybe you might be working for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but these are the 5 tabs that you should have as your setup. Number one is your KV Core. In KV Core, you want to see how many clients you added and click on each client and see if there's any new property that you have to send them a text message. Don't rely on the emails, right? Not everybody checks their emails. But if you click on Smart CRM, you go to that client, click on alerts, and see what new property came in. Click on that property and send them by text. Okay, they will see that text, and then they will, even if they take no action on it, it will have a positive effect for that day. Okay, number 2 here, you can see your transaction desk. You want to see, hey, I sent out something for e-signature. Did they e-sign it yet? Do I need to put in a new offer or not? You want to have a transaction desk tab open. Number 3 is going to be your MLS status. This way, any property that you're about to show and you're about to pick up your phone and you want to call the listing agent, before you call the listing agent, go to status and go all the way on the bottom of the page and see what are the instructions for showing. Okay, sometimes we'll say, hey, there's a lockbox. Sometimes we'll say, hey, call the office. Sometimes we'll say, call the listing agent or text the listing agent. Follow those instructions, right? Number 4 is your emails. Your email inbox. You should make a goal that, hey, I want to clear all your emails. About 70 to 80% of the emails that we receive on daily basis are junk, right? But if you don't take any action on it for another day or two, it just piles up. So go take a look at it. Maybe if you have not logged into your email for quite some time, you might see thousands and thousands of those. You want to clean that up. How would you know if the email is important or not unless you're actually checking and cleaning them up? And the 5th one is your Microsoft Teams. This is where we are chatting with each other. We have group messages. We have, team channels, your deal channels. So have these 5 tabs open at all times. KV Core, Transaction Desk, MLS Stratus, your Outlook, and your Microsoft Teams. Okay. Within Microsoft Teams, once you're in Microsoft Teams under chat here, there's a tab called Chat with Anyone. When you click on that, then you can search. You don't even need to know people's emails or anything. Just start typing in a few letters of their name and a chat box should come up. You should see all the loan officers and you should see all the realtors. So you guys can connect with anyone you guys like. Okay. All right, guys, we are short on time. We got a minute left. I just want to remind you guys, in a week, there are 168 hours. So maybe you guys do have part-time job, 40 hours, maybe, 30 hours, or another full-time job, 40 hours. Might be whatever different cases might be. But if you're holding a real estate license, just remember, if I have 168 hours in a week, let me devote at least 3 or 4 of them just to start off. And if you're really serious about real estate, then you're spending 20 plus. Okay. But just know that there are enough hours in a week where we can take some actions for our real estate activities. Please do so. All right. All right, guys. I do have more slides, but we're running out of times. Any questions, concerns, anything on your mind before we get going? All right, guys. That'll do it. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time. I'll see you guys next.